Hello, and welcome back to the Wise Lemon podcast. I hope everyone is having a blessed day so far whenever you hear this. Before I get too far into it, I just want to address the elephant in the room, so to speak. First two episodes, the title of those podcasts were It Is What It Is. Little background is I love that phrase. I think it's a fantastic phrase. I think it's really telling about life. How, you're kind of just given circumstances, and as much as we want to change them, like, it is what it is. To navigate that to the best of your ability is the only thing you really can do. But upon further reflection and a little bit of research here, Cameron, not sure if you guys know who Cameron is. He's a rapper. He actually has a podcast called It Is What It Is. So, cake on my face for not doing my due diligence, but I'm a fan of Cameron, love Cameron, and want to make sure that people are able to find this moving forward. So shifted the name, and now it is the Wise Lemon podcast. A little bit of insight as far as that name. I know in previous episodes have had a lemon with me. In previous episodes, I've had a lemon with me. I don't know why, I just like having something in my hand, something to work with. It just keeps me kind of, I don't know, centered in a way, and keeps me as present as possible, or at least I like to think that. So, in honor of the lemon and in honor of the pursuit of wisdom, we're wiser never wise. It's an incredible lesson, an incredible line from Ryan Holiday's book, Wisdom Takes Work. It's a book that's an incredible inspiration to me. Really a fan of his 4-part Virtue series, and he had a line in there as far as, you never really achieve wisdom. It's more something you pursue, and it's not, just intelligence or experience or introspection and reflection. It's more of a combination of all those things. And, the fact that you can never really achieve that, we're getting wiser, trying to get a little wiser at least, but you never really achieve that fully, and I think it's a beautiful thing. So, achieving a follow wisdom, and got the lemon, hence the Wise Lemon. And also to that point too, some of the things that I say, a lot of this stuff is for me, a lot of this stuff is for, people out there that might benefit from hearing it, and it may be a little bitter, going down, but ultimately, like a lemon, but ultimately it is there to try to help you grow, try to get you a little better, a little wiser, ask some questions you maybe hadn't thought about or pondered before, and see if it could, if it could help anybody. I think that's a huge win on my part. So that's kind of the goal of this podcast, and just wanted to address it up front, the name change. It's only episode 3, so I think, better late than never. So just want to kind of address that, and, on the topic of addressing things, as you guys could probably tell, I'm in a different location this week. This is one of my favorite places in the entire world. It's a house my great-grandfather Frank, rest in peace, Grandpa Frank, built with his hands once upon a time, a long time ago. It's in the sunny Los Angeles. So I know my friends in Chicago are experiencing snow and cold weather, and I decided to pop out here. It's actually going to be my birthday tomorrow, and on the 19th, and we have Eid coming up as well, which for those who don't know is the end of Ramadan. So going to be spending that here with my family, my parents. Very happy to be here. I'm very excited about that. But for the conversation this week, a couple of things I wanted to talk about, a couple of things I wanted to touch on. First one being the power of silence. And for me, this is very, I'd say, important, very relevant, very topical, because as you guys may be able to tell over these first 2 episodes, I like talking. As I mentioned before, I'm in sales, have the gift of gab. I think I inherited that from my mother. She is a very outgoing and bubbly personality. Love her a ton, definitely take after her, got a lot of her demeanor. And I've always loved talking. And I think talking and being able to communicate effectively and being able to persuade and just inform people is obviously an incredible ability, and I think it's a gift. But also, they say you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, because you should be listening more than you speak. And this is something I've been working more recently, to kind of practice what I preach. Obviously easier said than done, but to be able to really listen to somebody, and not just listen to respond, like actively listen to hear their words, to think about what they're telling you, as opposed to being like, all right, they said something, I'm just loading up what my response is going to be, and as soon as they're done talking, I'm going to get in there. That's not really listening. You kind of block them out after you hear what you want to hear, and then you kind of just spit what you want to say. which is definitely not what I'm talking about here. I'm more so talking about like active listening and the importance of being quiet. From my personal experience, when I'm in the United States and I'm speaking English, I feel like I have a good command over the English language. I'm able to articulate my thoughts, my feelings, my insights, which is nice because I'm an expressive person. To be able to do that freely really makes me feel good. But just for example, when I'm visiting Egypt, for instance, and when I visited Egypt in the past, I understand a bit. I'm not able to speak as much, and I found myself shifting quite a bit as far as like my communication style when I'm there. I had to be really, I have to be really locked in when I'm in a conversation. I need the hands, I need the context clues. I know I need a little bit of English sprinkled in there to really kind of follow accordingly. And I find myself just hanging on to people's every word and listening and paying attention far more than I do perhaps here. And I think it's an incredibly powerful thing to be able to see that difference. Because sometimes if you're always speaking English and if you're always doing these things, you're like, yeah, man, I'm listening, sure, I'm listening. But are you really listening? I'd encourage you, because there is an incredible amount of peace that comes in silence. And to be able to really deliberately hang on to what somebody's telling you, I think is an incredibly important thing. And at the same time, it's like, we're always stimulated in today's day and age. There's so much entertainment. There's so many things you could do. There's so many things you can watch. But to be alone with yourself at times and to sit there and to allow yourself at moments to be bored. I know it's almost impossible now. Everybody's got their phone on their hip and you can look up almost anything at any given time, which is a gift. And if you showed that to somebody back in like the 1920s, they would probably would have blown their mind. And there's a quote I always loved where it's, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. We've gotten to a point where the technology is straight up magical. And, for better or for worse, it's there. It's a great tool. It's a terrible teacher. It's you don't want to put the cart in front of the horse, so to speak. It's there if you need it, but it shouldn't be driving the ship, right? And to allow yourself to put it away and to sit with your thoughts, truly sit with your thoughts and reflect. Think about how things feel. Think about the day. Break down your goals for the future. I think that's something that's missing as much. And I always loved to say growing up, from boredom comes brilliance. Because those moments where you are by yourself, and I could just speak from my personal experience, the best paintings, writing, the ideas I've had have come in those moments of silence. So to be able to embrace that, and I may have said it before, but it's worth saying again because I really do think it really does make a difference. And to be able to appreciate that and take it for what it is super important. Allow yourself a little peace, a little quiet, talk a little less, listen a little more, and I think if we kind of practice that on the whole, it would be a very, very good thing. Yeah. Sorry, the weather's just so incredible out here, and I gotta say, just the power of the sun, getting outside, walking around, that's like a blue sky. I know Los Angeles, I love Los Angeles. I've been coming here for a long time. And, In-N-Out Burgers gotta happen every time. I'm a huge In-N-Out Burger fan. Double animal style, ad chopped chilies, well done fry in a water. Can't beat it. And when you come out here and you consider you get this weather year round, it really makes you understand why people like it. But I digress. That was just a little side thought. But the next thing I want to talk about, and the thing that I think people would do well to hear, is the power of no is a very powerful thing. And the reason why I'm saying this is because for me personally, historically, I'm an empath. I'm a very emotional person. I'm a sensitive dude, and I'm a people pleaser. And in the past, I'd find myself doing a lot of the times, I'd be doing things that I maybe necessarily didn't want to do, but I would do it to appease somebody, my friends, my family, somebody at work. Just, if they asked me to do something, it's like, you know what, I can do it. And so I thought because I can, I always should. And I didn't really ask myself if I genuinely wanted to do this thing. And I think I would have probably been a little bit better served had I said no more often growing up. But I wouldn't want to change anything because it allowed me to be at the place where I am now. But the realization being, to say no is a very powerful thing. A lot of people think no is negative, that when you're saying no to somebody, you're kind of rejecting them, their ideas, or what they have to say. But ultimately, I do believe that, to put yourself first is an important thing. Because if you're not operating in your self-interest, you're actively operating against your self-interest. And that reminds me, one of my favorite books I've ever read, and one of my favorite quotes that I love in my life, that I committed to memory because I loved it so much, it's from Atlas Shrugged, written by Ayn Rand, and the quote goes, "I swear by my life and my love of it, I will never live my life for the sake of another man or ask another man to live for mine." And the thing that I enjoyed a lot about that quote was, for me personally as a people pleaser, I found myself feeling like I'm living my life on behalf of other people or for the sake of other people. And once you kind of take that power back and you understand this is the only life you have, you need to, as I mentioned, work in your self-interest. If you're not promoting yourself, if you're not working for yourself, if you're not prioritizing yourself, you're acting against yourself. And life's too short, and there's too much good out there to, it's great to help people, but ultimately if you want to make the biggest impact and you truly want to help people, you have to make sure that, your house is clean before you could go help others. You know what I mean? You got to make sure that your house is in order, that you take personal stock and inventory, and when you're at your happiest, you are your most productive, and when you're at your most productive, you're able to enact change at a mass scale. So, whoever needs to hear this, it may just be me, and maybe others out there, but treat yourself. Prioritize yourself, prioritize your happiness, live in accordance to that, because if you don't, nobody really will. Everybody is so focused on themselves that if you're not out here, taking time off for yourself, doing the things that make you happy, participating in the activities and not participating in the activities that you want to or you don't want to based on how you're feeling and how what your personal values are, I think that's the name of the game. I think it's incredibly important, and I know I wish I kind of heard that earlier, but lessons come in their own time, and things happen to you and for you, but how you view these things is everything. If there's challenges, if there's difficulties, and you're like, why me, woe is me kind of mentality, oh, why is this happening to me, oh, I got a ticket in Chicago, oh, I got this, I got that, oh, I got to do this, it's going to feel exhausting, it's going to feel very negative. But if you understand, it's like, all right, maybe the ticket wasn't great, maybe I have to do certain things, maybe there's a lesson in everything. And I've always been an optimist, and I'm a very glass half full person, and I do believe everything happens for a reason. And we might not know the why behind the things that are happening to us today, but if you trust that it's all to make you a better person, I think that's hugely helpful. And there was a quote by Seneca, and I'm not going to get this right verbatim because I don't have it in front of me, but it was something along the lines of, some people go their entire lives never being challenged, never going through difficulties. And then, by the end of it, they go through life not even knowing the strength of which they had or the abilities that they had because they were never truly tested. To understand that difficulty is not a bad thing, that allows you to grow, it allows you to change, it brings you a lot more than it takes from you. But like I said, perception's everything. Your mentality dictates your reality. If you view it as a crutch, it's going to be a crutch. But if you view it as a lesson that you needed to learn at that time, believe me, it will make all the difference. So, wanted to throw that out there, and that's something my father and I talk about quite a bit, is this general idea of you have to go through difficulty to get to ease. You're going to find hard times, there's going to be challenges in every one of our lives. I don't care how privileged you are, what kind of background you come from, what your circumstances are, everybody has problems. And to embrace those challenges, as we mentioned before, and to understand, it's like, we'll use the example of education, for instance. You go through education, and if you knew at preschool how long it would take for you to get to preschool all the way to the end of college, a lot of people would be like, no thank you, I don't want to sign up for that. You see there's so much to go, and there's going to be so many challenges and so many assignments, so many tests, so many essays, that you'd almost rather not do it. But if you don't go through that education early on and go through that difficulty early on, you're faced with the difficulties on the back end, trying to get a job, trying to build your life, not having the tools available to allow you to navigate life to the best of your ability. And that's obviously just one particular example, but that applies to everything. If you go through those challenges, you're battle tested, you've proven to yourself what you can overcome and what you can do, it is the greatest gift you could ever receive. And in closing here, one thing that I also wanted to touch on is patience. Patience is a virtue. Patience is something that I don't think you have, but you have access to. And I pray for patience every day, and there's times where I'm more patient than others. I'm fasting right now, and when I'm fasting sometimes, I get hangry. It happens quite a bit. And my patience runs short, and you react and your emotions get the better of you, and I'm a very emotional person, so recognizing the value in patience. And in life there are no shortcuts. Like things, you could try to skirt the corners and cut the edges and, if I do this, like, it'll save me some time, but ultimately it catches up with you on the back end, sometimes with interest. You know what I mean? But the idea to recognize the value in patience and to practice it. Because I don't think anybody's patient all the time. I think that's a misconception that people have with patience. They're like, you either are a patient person or you're not. It's a fluid, dynamic thing. It comes in waves, and depending on how you're feeling, what your mind state is at a given time, you may be patient. Other times you may be tested, you may be stressed, there might be a lot of stuff going on, and your patience wears thin. And I'm not out here saying you need to be perfect when it comes to patience, but what I am saying is the pursuit is meaningful. It's like trying to be great. It's like, for me, it's like I try to be great, and I know I'm not going to be great all the time. But if I'm pursuing that, if that's my goal, and like I might not be great, but I might be good. You know what I mean? Or having something to strive towards and a goal to try to reach is an incredibly important thing. And I think patience is a very noble pursuit and a very noble virtue that would help the world if there was a little bit more of it in there. Like I said, with all of these things, it's easier said than done. And a lot of these things I'm really saying out loud to try to take it in myself. I try to practice these things as much as possible, but I'm not perfect. Nobody is, neither is this podcast. Nothing in this world is perfect. But to recognize the things that are worth striving towards and the journeys worth walking ultimately is super important. And I speak on these episodes and I speak in this podcast about the things that are important in my life, but everybody has their own experience. Everybody has their own adventure. And, these may resonate with you. They may not. Either way, I think it's worth putting out there in the world. And like I said, if it can help anybody, I think it's a huge win. And I know when I first published the first episode of this podcast, my father was the first person to see it. Thank you, Baba. And he said he loved it. And from that feedback alone, in my life, I recognize, and I talked about it in the first episode, like if people's perceptions of you affect your decisions, your behaviors, your actions, that's a terrible thing. And to understand that if my dad likes it, for me personally, that's all I need. Right, and to separate yourself from the outcome and to focus on the process. What's happening right now, this conversation, this video, and the videos in the past and the videos that are going to happen in the future, it makes me happy. It's a satisfying creative outlet, and as long as that continues to be the case, I will continue to speak with you on a weekly basis on these Sundays. So I just want to say thank you for everybody who's been on this journey on these past 2, going on to 3 episodes now, and like, share, subscribe. Love you all very much. And let's have ourselves a day. Let's be patient. Let's be quiet, a little bit more quiet. Let's listen a little more, talk a little less, and say no to the right things. And keep on keeping on.